Hi, it's Larry Johnson, your host for A Principles Voices. And I have with me today Cory Rodriguez, who is the CEO of Wyakin Foundation. Got that right? And he has a real heart for veterans and the issues that confront them and and I think what he said to me, and he'll get into it, is like, what's their next stop? What do they do next? How do they handle coming back and all the things that go with that? So we're going to hear about that. So welcome, Cory.
Thank you, Larry. It's a pleasure to be on here, and thank you to all of those who listen to your podcast. I know I've been following it a bit lately now since we've been introduced, and I love what you're doing. So I'm excited to speak to your audience and with you.
All right. Well, thank you. So now you are, I know we're both in the Treasure Valley, or we're both in and you are a local, I think. Where did you grow up in Idaho?
Semi-local, so born and raised in Idaho. I'm from the Magic Valley, which is a Twin Falls area, but a small town, Gooding, Idaho, about 3,200 people. And went there my whole life and graduated high school, played sports, and worked on ranches, worked on farms, worked for the city while I was growing up. And then after I graduated high school, I fought fires for the BLM while I was going through college. So
And for those who are in the East, that's the Bureau of Land Management that we are
that
equipped.
is that is correct. Yeah.
All right. So, well, you're a pretty husky guy. You could do just about anything you want to do, obviously. And but you've this isn't your first nonprofit gig. You've been doing some other things as well. So, in that regard, how did you get attracted to the service sector, the nonprofit sector? How did that happen?
I think I kind of started with my parents. I just have always believed in serving others. That's kind of what I was taught. And from an early age, I mean, I started coaching while I was in high school. That's been a big part of my background is coaching sports. And then from there, going and fighting fires and wanting to serve my community in that capacity, and then just getting into nonprofit work. I've helped people with disabilities in my professional career. I went to school to be a teacher. So my passion has always been serving others. And what I found and what I teach our veterans at Wyakin when they talk with me is, find your why. And I found my why very early in life. Now, I can't say that every job has been standing because they've been jobs. Um, but in everything that I have done, it has been for serving others, even like, and including coaching other people's kids or, serving in a nonprofit capacity. So that's my why. And, when you find something that you love, what do they say? You never work a day in your life. Um, you still have the stresses of those things. But so that's kind of how I got into it. It was ingrained in me by my parents to serve the greater good.
So now you're working with vets, and you've been there, I guess, a couple of years, maybe 3 years. And
Yep.
so, what attracted you to this opportunity?
Well, what honestly happened was in 2008, 2009, in that time frame when I had wanted to become a teacher and finishing up school, the job market for teaching was awful. And then I was a single parent also at that time. And as a responsible parent, you have to take care of your kids. So I kind of found a pivoted career paths because I needed a job. And that job took me into a sector that worked with adults with disabilities. That's where I started at the ARC. With those disabilities, veterans specifically also fall under this category that they work with vocational rehabilitation of Idaho. And I started working with veterans in that capacity. There was limits to what I could do though, and trying to help veterans and adults with disabilities find meaningful jobs so that they could support themselves. I saw a little glimpse of really the struggles that veterans have in that capacity. Sadly, I lost two veterans that I was working with to suicide because it was just too hard for them to transition into civilian life, and I saw the struggles and the battles with the VA. And then also just in my personal life, seeing friends and family struggle with a lot of those challenges. And so in that capacity, I knew I always wanted to do something more with veterans. Fast forward to, getting the experience that I needed to do what I to do well in the nonprofit world. And then you fast forward to the opportunity of coming to Wyakin over 3 years now. I got to take over in this position and help veterans in the capacity that I had wanted to previously. And we haven't looked back since.
Okay. All right. Um, so then I take it you've had more successes than failures in this job.
Yeah, and I mean, knock on wood. So we've been pretty fortunate. The Wyakin Foundation has been around since 2011, and it really had a great foundational footprint put onto it. It just needed kind of that go-getter to take the helm and kind of get things going and bring a nonprofit expertise to it. For a long time, it was kind of ran by business folks or post-military individuals who, you got to understand the nonprofit world. And so since then, we've been fortunate. I mean, the pretty stuff, we've won 4 awards in 2 years. For
Congratulations.
our services. Thank you. That's a nice thing to have. Trophies are always great, but really what it is a success. So we've had over 93 veterans come through our program just in the last 3 years. 9 year the previous 9 years, uh, it took us that long just to serve 90 or 80 veterans.
You've had an
And so we've doubled that.
increase. You've had an order of magnitude increase.
Yeah, and not only that, we've seen success. We've had of those 92 that have come into the program, we have graduated 42. We have another 7 graduating in August and December of this year. And so our enrollment each year has been over 20 veterans. And so, being able to serve more veterans and see them become successful as they define it, for me and where I came from, and you hearing my story, it means the world to us to see these veterans finding their success and not falling into, you know, the the so much spoke of the suicide, the drugs, the homelessness, and all that. I mean, we have gotten people out of homeless shelters and they've completed college and now they're working jobs where they're making upwards of 70 to 90K in a 3 year span. And I couldn't have done that in my past roles because I didn't have the leniency or the ability, but to be able to do that now and to see it come to fruition is it's amazing.
Well, you've talked about the flexibility of the program that the government sponsored programs don't provide. And so this gives you more parameters, more flexibility. Tell me a little bit about the actual program. In other words, let's do it this way. Let's say I'm a veteran, I've recently been discharged, and there's a good chance that I'm going to go south one way or the other if someone doesn't intervene. How would that happen? Would I show up one day? Would someone refer me to you? And then once I'm in there, what actually does the program consist of?
Well, let me propose it this way. So, for those who haven't served, everybody loves supporting veterans, and but I don't think they understand really you're what a veteran is experiencing as they come out of the military. So we're talking about some who have enrolled and started in the military since right out of high school, right? 17, 18 years of age. They come into a very, strict environment of this is where you will be, this is how you do this is when you go to sleep, this is when you eat, etc. Right? And for those who, even just 2, 3, 4 years of that, and you come out, and then all of a sudden, here you go. Here's the keys to the car. How do I get gas? How do I drive? How do I, there's a lot of struggles that I don't think civilians understand that veterans come out of. So that's the first piece, understanding what actually is the barrier. The second piece of that is for veterans, and this is probably another thing for civilians that they don't necessarily fully understand, is if you look from the outside, there's the VA. The VA exists. Veterans get all these benefits, and now you have your GI Bill. So the world is your oyster. What we don't understand from the outside looking in is that while there are many resources for veterans, there are also many hoops to jump through. And for your common veteran, especially one who maybe has been injured or wounded because of their service, they are asked to do a lot of things. I mean, you think getting a home loan is hard or a car loan is hard, you know, try to utilize your VA benefits. Try to go to school on your GI Bill, and the hoops that you have to jump through for veterans, it would cause most of us to just go, screw it.
Mhm.
And that's the problem that we see. There's not a lack of resources, there's a lack of connection to those resources. There's a lack of explaining how to get to those benefits and how to utilize those things. And so what you see are these veterans who feel hopeless because they have been taught to be warriors, and self-reliant on a battlefield. And, you know, you show no weakness, right? Well, you get into the civilian world, and maybe you don't know how to play well in the civilian world. One of our main professional development seminars is on understanding the civilian cultural world, right? When you go into the workforce and now you have all this DEI. Well, if you've ever been with a group of Marines, DEI is non-existent. And so trying to explain that to these folks who have been in a culture for so long, I mean, it's burdensome. So if
Well,
you're a veteran,
with the veterans benefits, do you aid them in negotiating the system at all?
in some capacities, so as you come to Wyakin, usually you'll hear about us word of mouth. We've been doing a lot of marketing and meeting with folks and being out in the community, which is obviously, you can't argue what our numbers and our enrollment have been. So we've done our part in trying to spread the word. As a veteran finds out about us, they come and they meet with our director of veteran programs, and it's like they go, okay, what can I get out of this? And we're focused on 6 tenants. That veteran program director will go over those things. Well, what are you trying to do? Well, I'm trying to get into school, but I don't even know where to start. Okay, this is who you need to contact. This is how you need to go about it. These are the resources that you have available. You know, if you're if you've been significantly wounded in battle, and the government, then your children could qualify for certain educational benefits. So there's that piece. Navigating the VA, because we have an expert in house on the things, we have helped veterans sue to get their disability benefits, and they've been successful. And it sounds bad when you say that. The VA is set to help veterans, but there are still the hurdles of a government or a federal organization, right?
Well, it's any large bureaucracy.
Yes, anything. I mean, it's not just the VA, right? I mean, if you're trying to do other things, but in this capacity, that's where we have those struggles. So a veteran comes to us, hey, I'm gonna lose my house. Maybe I'm going through a divorce. I don't know, I did all this stuff in the military. I have all these skill sets, but the civilian world says I don't know anything. So they come to us, and whether it's a recent transition out of the military, or maybe they've come out, they've had 5 6 years, and they've just floundered from job to job, and life is just, I don't know what to do next. I have no purpose. They can come to us and we can help guide them in that purpose. We also have a career development coordinator on staff who is phenomenal, and she can take all the military, your MOS from the military, and the stuff that you've done that you would never think of, like managing $1 million worth of equipment, you know, on conflict management, project management, etc. She puts that into a civilian resume, and all of a sudden you should see the eyes of these veterans. I didn't know I knew how to do that. Well, you did it, and you proved it, and it's upping their marketability for jobs, which, it comes twofold, I believe, in life, right? You have to have a skill set and an education to that skill set. I'm not saying you have to have you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar, but education is important. A skill set is important. And then that way you can go into a career. We don't want them to find jobs. We want them to find careers that are meaningful and they find their purpose or their why, much to what I have found in my life. And so that's, to me, the biggest thing that we bring as a Wyakin Foundation for veterans. When they are floundering, when they don't know where else to turn, they don't know what resource to find, we bring them on hands on with a team of experts who are helping them find and navigate the services and resources that they need to be successful. And I might add, Larry, we don't do this just under the flagship of Wyakin. We have made it a point to partner with other service organizations in the state and nationally, if needed, to make sure that we are not missing any gaps. The thing about Wyakin is that the consistency and the stability. We try to keep our veterans are usually with us for 3 to 3.5 years. One of the main hangups on the VA is the turnover for veterans is, man, I was seeing this counselor and now they're gone, you know, or I was seeing this doctor and now they're gone. And so it gets frustrating. And
So
you wouldn't want that, right? You wouldn't want to have a new doctor and every, couple months.
you work with vocational training, vocational guidance. Do you get into areas like health related things, drug addiction, family issues? Or these? Do you address any of that?
So yeah, we try not to drift on our mission, which is really built on just helping them through an education plan, moving into a career,
Hmm?
and alleviating the barriers that can cause you from completing those two things.
It's
However,
yeah.
we have, our partnerships where they can get, if drug and alcohol is an issue, we can get them there. We work hand in hand with the Veterans Court, to ensure that, we'll help get those veterans where they need to be. We've helped in homing, helping veterans get into homes or houses or apartments. So we kind of do a little bit of everything. We have a professional development series that we do every month. It's 2 hours, the second Tuesday of every month. And we bring in those speakers, financial literacy. We just did one last night on emotional health, um, which is really interesting, you know, and, but we do those things, and then we give them access to these professionals to come in and speak with them. You can't necessarily get some of that in other places. And so it really is a village, I think, for what we do. Um, but then what we also do is just make sure that they stay engaged and stay in touch with them. And, just like teaching, you can't reach everyone. Um, but it is our purpose to try and help as many as possible find that success.
So you mentioned earlier that if I recall correctly, that your typical tenure for a vet is like 2 to 3 years. Is that correct?
I think 3 to 5. It varies with the service branches.
So it's multi-year, is my point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um, is what's involved with that? Do I come and I meet weekly? Do I take different things? Are you just sort of watching me as I develop? How does the program unfold?
Yep. So we try not to overburden the veteran with all of the stuff we throw at them. But because we do provide monthly engagement grants to kind of offset some expenses, we want them to have a little skin in the game. And one of the top things that, so one of the things that we ask is each month you meet with our director of veteran programs. He's a licensed social worker, and he just kind of he does the, where are you at? How you feeling? He does that piece of it. But we also provide mentors, career mentors for these individuals so that, they're meeting with someone outside of us. That mentor can be former military or just a business person in the community, but they're helping to guide them in a different way. So they have to meet with them, and then we ask that they attend our monthly PDS. That's kind of where it's at now. Should they want to do more, they are always welcome. We have an open door policy, and we try to develop those relationships and nurture them. We'll have veterans bring their kids in, and we really want it to be a family oriented thing. But those are our main requirements. So that's a monthly thing that they are required to do, to be in our program, and that's the only thing that they're really asked to do. All the other stuff, they have opportunities to go networking, whether it be with, the Boise Metro Chamber, or a networking event that Wyakin's going to, or a community event or community engagement. We provide those opportunities too, because we don't want them to be reclusive. Um, one of Another detriment to a lot of veterans is they want to stay in their circles, which is understandable, right? You want to stay in what you're comfortable. So you're going to hang out with your military buddies or this. Sometimes that can be a detriment, um, you know. And so we try to expose them to different opportunities. I've taken veterans with me to Texas, to events. I've taken them to California for events,
Okay.
just so that they can be a part of a bigger thing. We try to work with the local rodeos just to get our veterans out who maybe have never had the pleasure of experiencing a rodeo, or the crowd that goes there that love and support, the military and veterans.
Wow. There's a lot going on there. How many employees do you have?
We have six.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
And you said, so it's sort of a moving target with these guys, and they're sort of being groomed and they're moving to their own range. And um, how do they know when they're successful? And that's not a throwaway question. How do they know when they're
Sure. Well, I think the key term that we use, and if you look at our literature, is success as they define it. you know, we've had folks who've come here, and they've utilized all the resources, they've gotten their degree in something, and maybe they're 100% disabled, and they just wanted to accomplish, going to school, and then they want to go volunteer their time. They want to just be able to go volunteer for other nonprofits, or come back and volunteer for us. That's success in
Mhm.
their eyes. Some of them, it is, I want to graduate and get my master's, and I want to find a career. So, can you guys help me find an industry that I went to school for, so that I can make 100K and have these benefits? That's success to them. We don't put a definition on it other than, are they alive? Are they healthy? I mean, because then I see you laugh, but I mean that's a real serious thing. Is
Ironic laugh,
you,
believe me, it's not.
yeah, no, but I mean that's really, because sometimes I've heard the stories. They've sat down in my office, and they're just grateful that they found us,
Mhm.
and I'm alive. You helped me find a purpose. So success is a objective term, I think, for them, or it's more broad, I think, maybe, than just pinning it down to making lots of money. Um, but we're seeing an increase in those finding that success, and and whatever that may be for their personal lives. I mean, we've had spouses write us letters. I can't believe how much, this person has changed, and our kids are happier. I see those things as success.
So, are you in a demand situation? I mean, do you turn people away?
Currently, no, we are not. We financially, as a nonprofit, because as a foundation, we give away money. There's engagement pieces to that. We also do have a pot of money that is used for emergencies. So if a veteran's in a really bad way, their car breaks down, or they need tires, or a refrigerator goes out, or they're late on a mortgage payment, whatever. We have that. So because of that, right now we can only financially support 60 veterans a year. Now that's a rolling enrollment. So we have the capacity to serve 60, but when we graduate five, we can bring five more on.
Right. Yeah.
So it ends up being 65, 75, but only at one single time can we support about 60. We don't currently have a wait list because we just graduated, I think, nine in May.
Mhm.
So, and then, but it ebbs and flows with what the demand is.
Are you looking at being assertive to expand? Are you happy where you are? Or
We've done some things already that we are in the Magic Valley, down in the Twin Falls area. We have a couple veterans there. We're looking at Eastern Idaho to support them. We have some things in the works to do more things nationally. So we're looking at a couple different areas. We already service some of our veterans in different areas. We have Arizona, Texas, um, Minnesota, California, Washington, and Massachusetts.
wow, you are.
So, yeah, they'll reach out to us, and that's a little bit, through the what we learned through COVID, where we could always do like these kind of meetings. We're trying to make sure that we're helping veterans wherever they're at, meet them where they're at.
So, how are you funded? You mentioned the foundation, but how is that funded, and what's the source of your revenue?
We are 100% grants and donors, and we have been very blessed, and I hope we continue to be very blessed because 87 cents of every dollar goes to our veterans,
Very
which
good.
I'm something I'm very proud of. But yeah, we rely just on the generosity of individual donors, corporate donors. We do a couple events. We've been so fortunate. The last couple of years, we've had people wanting to do golf tournaments for us and pickleball tournaments for our veterans. And so, we have a partnership with a professional drag race race car driver, Justin Ashley. A little shout out to him. Um, and he's with the NHRA, and he our logos on the car. He helps us bring out veterans, and so that leads to some donations. Also, the heavy duty aftermarket industry is a huge supporter of our nonprofit. In fact, we are like one of the only veteran organizations that they constantly support, and that was built through good relationships.
What you said aftermarket, aftermarket for
Heavy duty, so semi trucks and those things. It's all the aftermarket stuff. But Cummins, Meritor, Phillips, SAF Holland, Dorman, those kind of, I mean, they recognize us on a national level. So, but yeah, we're 100% funded by that.
so so you've told me about your core program. You've told me that you're in these disparate geographical locations. Is there something that's in your mind's eye? Maybe you don't want to say anything just yet, but that you have it's sort of an aspirational thing you'd like to work toward.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's no secret. I would love to see why it can be more like officially national.
Hmm.
I would love to see chapters in other states. I can tell you this, I mean, we're trying to partner with the USO to do some stuff, um, you know, and especially just regionally between Nevada and Utah and this area we would love to expand that way. With anything, I think it's grassroots. Um, but I mean, I've been working on it as much as I travel um, to these different locations. We're always working on those things. We've done some stuff in San Antonio, Texas,
Hmm.
and so that's my dream. I mean, 10 years, 15-year plan. I would love to see 3 to 4 Wyakin chapters in other states, and I think it's possible.
Well,
But
if you
you
can
know,
dream it, you can do it, Cory. I
that's right.
firmly believe that.
Yeah.
Now, we've covered a wide range of topics. Is there something that we haven't discussed that you'd like to tell us?
I just want to remind everybody that, even though we are not in active combat and we are moving away, well, we are getting distance from some things. And I mean, I think we're what, 23 years, 24 years from 9/11. I can't even,
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
don't remind me. It was 2001. Yes. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I,
Yeah. So 23. Yeah. I just want people to, and this is what I say when I do my speaking engagements. Everybody says they support veterans, but historically, the veteran kind of falls off the radar if there's not something active going on. But what people need to remember is that no matter what, you never come out the same.
no,
Even if you didn't see active combat, again, I go back to what I said earlier. You've had someone telling you what to do, how to, you never had to worry about managing your money because even if you are deployed to a base overseas, you can only spend so much of your money. Checks are getting deposited, but you're getting your food and your meals and everything, on base.
it's a
And
very,
so you never really, yeah, you don't have to worry about
a
things.
very structured existence. And I can see, well, if you're coming out if you're going in as a high school graduate who maybe had a little trouble with discipline or structure before, and you go in there, and the good part is that you're given that structure, you're given that rigor, but then when you leave, okay, now what? I have to make all my own decisions here, and it's sort of what do I do? And that's where I think that's where you come in to supply that transition that is going to ease them into the civilian world. They don't have to forget that they were a veteran. It's a very honorable thing, but they can learn to adjust to a new situation. Um,
And supporting them and understanding that and helping like an organization like Wyakin or you know some of the other things that other organizations that are trying to do similar things, where they're maybe have a stronger mission towards the PTSD side. Like the veterans still need us, whether they're active combat or not. The other thing too that I want people to know, balancing this world, this line of the civilian world and working with veterans, don't let the one-off veteran who really meets their demise because of their struggle, don't let that stop you from wanting to still care and support veterans. I see it all too often, that a veteran loses their struggle one way or another.
mhm.
And it's publicized in the news, but we never talk about how they got there.
Yeah, what led up to
It Yeah. And so don't let that just deter you from reaching out to these veterans and doing, just a little bit to make sure that they know that they're supported and some are rough around the edges. I mean, it's just like working with high school students, right? I mean, they're rough around the edges, but they the leadership qualities, and this is what a lot of industries are going to. You're starting to see veteran preference industries, employers hiring veterans, right? I mean, they're trying to bring these veterans into their industry because of their leadership skills, because of their ability to act and manage multiple facets of something. And so keep that in mind. There's a purpose
Mhm.
for everybody, but in my role, I'm advocating for veterans. So just keep that in mind as you're out and about. It's great to recognize veterans on Memorial Day and Veterans Day and the 4th of July, but you know, today's Wednesday. If you know a veteran
I love
or
but today is Wednesday. You can make a marketing campaign out of that, Corey. Today is Wednesday. If people wanted to reach out to you and contact you, how would they do that?
I think the easiest thing is go to our website, Wyakin, WYAKIN.org. That's the easiest way. You can find me personally on LinkedIn. Um, you can also our Facebook. I don't know all the handles. I don't do that anymore.
That's
That's
enough.
above my pay grade.
Oh, if you got the LinkedIn, you got the website. If someone wanted to say, "Hey, I want to talk to that Cory," you know, sometimes when people kind of self-identify themselves, sometimes Cory, and you never know what's going to come over the transom there. Or do you even know what a transom is? That little window at the top of the door, and you open it, comes transom.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for taking your time today. Very, very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But everyone, we've had a great time with Cory Rodriguez, and he gave us some wonderful ideas and some insight into what really goes on inside of the mind of a veteran and the challenges that they face. And sometimes it isn't just exactly what you're looking at, and it's not what people commonly think. So I thank him for doing that today.
Thank you
Soon,
again.
next week, we'll do another guest. I mean, it's doing great stuff. And until then, we'll see you. And thank you for spending your time today.
Thank you all. Thank you, Larry.